So we are here today to talk about VIP client experience. So location should never limit your ability to deliver a VIP client experience. Whether you're at home, the office, on the road, in your pajamas, today's tech makes remote closing seamless. And to talk a little bit about it, I'm joined with three incredible leaders over here in the broker world. So let's start with Reggie. Let's talk a little bit about yourself.
All right, cool. So my name's Reggie Green. I've been in the mortgage business since 2004. Started as a refinance lender for like the first half of my career. And 2016, near the end, rates went up, so I decided to switch my whole business model to purchase. Built a large purchase team, and then me and my cousin Nick, who actually worked at Rocket for a long time, opened our own mortgage brokerage in 2023 called Green Home Loans, and here I am today.
Love it. And we go way back. I remember being on the call when you were first starting Green Home Loans, so it's exciting to see, the powerhouse you've put together there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Peter, let's talk a little bit about your history.
So started in the real estate business in 1974. Got out of the real estate business in 1991 and have been in the mortgage world since. A little different than these two nice people. I didn't want to be around a lot of people, so we're built around one loan officer, and that's it.
Love it. And I mean, your grandfather opened a mortgage shop in 1903, is that true?
Yes. And then my father opened up a real estate office, I believe it was 1953.
Wow. That's some pretty incredible history there for sure.
Been around for a while.
Jessica, COO at Loan Factory. What about you?
Yeah, so I work for Loan Factory, and we are a pretty large broker, over 2,000 loan officers, over 200 support staff, and we've doubled our loan officer count year over year, so it's a very fast-growing, fast-paced environment, so it's definitely a challenge from an operational standpoint. So it's been exciting, and especially now in the day of technology, it's really shifting towards automation and moving towards AI, technology, automation to automate a lot of operations. So when you talk operations, probably most of that will be automated in the next couple of years. So it's exciting times, and we're just focused on supporting the loan officer to be able to give the customer that VIP experience.
Love it. Happy to have you on here. So you lead the operations for over 2,000 loan officers, and you were telling me backstage you work with over 200 lenders. So I think there's a lot folks can learn from how you wrangle all of that together, because it's pretty impressive. But thank you all for being here. And we're going to start with a little bit of a big picture question. So Reggie, what tools have changed the game for remote closings?
So we were talking about it. Obviously, we have the RON closing, which is refinance specific, but pretty cool when you can use Rocket Close and do a refinance all with a Zoom call. Super convenient for your clients. But that's the main thing is that we use, and then we're pretty old school. Me and Peter were talking about it, phone, Zoom, and just good communication.
Love it. It's awesome. Peter, you've obviously been through quite a few evolutions in the mortgage industry, so we'd love to hear a little bit on your side as far as, how do you keep consistency across environments, or, what are some of your thoughts?
So, I kind of go back to the real estate world. If the three most important factors in real estate are location, 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 I would think that for the mortgage world, it's process, process, and process. If you stay within your process, I just think it makes everything more efficient, makes it easier to pass through, and it's just lots of communication.
Love it. So for either one of you, as remote closings became more of a thing, when your clients are eligible to use a remote online notary or e-closing or some of these other new technologies, are there any client concerns? You have to sell it, or kind of what are how do the clients respond?
You want to?
So it depends on your client. A lot of the younger generation, they're really into technology. They like to just sit behind their computer, click, 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 finish everything. So they would love it. We haven't done a lot of it recently because of the fact that we're working with over 200 lenders. Each one has different requirements. Depending on the state, sometimes you can only sign some documents and you still have to meet with the notary to sign others. So it's not an efficient process currently. But I think it can get there, probably with newer technology that would allow the whole thing to be signed regardless of the lender, regardless of the title company, especially for purchases, because the title company will be different on every purchase. So in general, I think there are too many people involved in the process, which makes it hard to be efficient. So ideally, in the future, I think it will be pretty automated where a consumer can click through, sign their loan documents. You've seen that technology now where you scan your ID, scan your face, so it verifies your identity. Mm-hmm. Sign in front of a video, something like that where it's streamlined, then I think that it'll definitely move in that direction. But right now it is a little clunky because there's too many different parties involved, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I have a great question for you on that. With the size of the operation that you're leading, how do you ensure accuracy, compliance, trust, while also delivering speed and personalization to your clients?
So that is the heart of the question, right? That it's a challenge, and being so big, we have to be scalable, and growing so fast, we have to be scalable. So we rely heavily on technology, a lot of automation, so that people don't have to think about what to do next. It just happens. So the communication goes out, they get a reminder, they have a follow-up show up to tell them what to do next, so that everything is automated and you can easily train people to do the right things and keep everybody compliant and on track. From a consumer standpoint, I think visibility is really important. So for the consumer to be able to, especially the younger generation, to be able to just go online, find the best rate, find the pricing, click the button to move forward. And then on our end, we just deliver that customized experience so that they feel supported and they feel important. So allow the consumer to do all the things that they want to do themselves, right? But then be there and be available to answer their questions, to talk through difficult things. So automation is key, and I think in the future, I suspect everything will be automated and there'll be the loan officer that delivers that personal experience. I think someone mentioned it earlier, or maybe on the video, that the loan officer is like a therapist, right? Yeah. That's really what it's going to be, because people will want to do everything on the computer automated, but they'll want that personal connection, someone that makes them laugh, someone that they can let out their anxiety to, and things like that. So I think that's what we're working towards on an operations standpoint, to just automate everything or have the processor handle everything so the loan officer can focus on the client side of it.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of the technology that's evolving is, automating all the tasks so people can have a more personal communication, help people where you want to humanize your process and your experience overall. A lot of exciting stuff there. So for this one, this ties directly back to one of our promises here, promise number 8, which is work where you want, close when you're ready. And that's our commitment here, is remote closings aren't just convenient. They're proof that brokers can deliver VIP service anywhere without compromise. But it's not just about where you close. It's about finding the right opportunities. That's why we're excited to talk a little bit about. So we shared Rocket Pro Navigate earlier. I'm excited to hear y'all thoughts on that. And Reggie, I know you've played around with it a little bit. So we're going to talk about one of the apps within it, which is called Lead Scanner. So let's get a closer look at this. So I'm extremely excited about this app, and when we piloted this out, we got a lot of really, really great feedback. So this was actually designed by loan officers. When rates drop quickly, who do you call? How do you prioritize, your database and your list of clients as far as identifying who's in the money? And it's intended to load the Excel there. We ran a couple different tests where we had 250 clients on it, and it would say, here's 15, here's why. It would look at if there was a second lien, and where you can combine them to a rate term. And we're really seeing a lot of excitement around it. So curious, Reggie, you've played around with it a little bit.
Yeah, we demoed it. It was super cool. So basically what we did is we just did a mass export, put it on a CSV and uploaded it into the system. And within like a minute, it basically had a list of every single client that they thought could possibly benefit from a refinance, the reason why they could benefit from a refinance. So I imagine we're going to systemize it and just basically put our whole database in there every month and just try to share those opportunities with our loan officers. So really cool. We're excited about it.
Love it. Peter, what did you think about the...
I love the fact that it prioritizes for me what I should be doing for the day, rather than me trying to figure it out on 15 different spreadsheets.
Yeah.
It just saves me more time to spend with the client, less time trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah, absolutely. And with it also gives recommendations, right? So it's analyzing all of their data and saying, here's why. It's not just here's a priority of the clients to call. It's here's why that should help prep that initial conversation when you reach out overall. And one of the big things is you remain in full control, right? We'll never contact a client without your consent. This is a list for you to pull. You can go even further and say, all right, generate email and text templates for the top 15. You can add in personal data there as far as like who you are. Peter, I'm 4th generation mortgage broker, all of that stuff. So you can just hit it and send. Another really interesting use case when we were demoing it with one of the pilot users, turning in an XML file, which you can do, and then putting it back into your system to be able to capture that data overall. So in this market where timing is everything, this gives you speed, precision, and proof of ROI. So I'm curious, Jessica, what are your thoughts around this? How do you think this will help Loan Factory?
The lead
Yeah.
system. Well, we do have a lot of loan officers that rely heavily on leads sources. So I think that this will be great for them to be able to organize all of those leads. I think there's a lot more that can be done as well. So it's exciting to see. I don't dabble on the lead side of things much. I focus more on operations, but I know the loan officers will probably be very excited about that.
I love it. How about any of you use AI tools in your business today?
I ask my wife.
You ask your wife? How about, does she use some AI tools?
Yes.
Yeah?
She doesn't ask me, but yes.
I love it. Reggie?
Yeah, we do a lot of newsletters. I think like part of the job of being a loan officer is educating your real estate agents, educating your clients what's going on with the market. So taking like a topic and then having it summarized in a very quick manner for our newsletters is big. And then, we have so much things going to CRM and we're trying to stay in front of people. So basically, if we want to stay in front of this client that needs credit repair, like what are 12 emails that we can write to them over a period of time that's going to highlight what they can do to help their credit. So we use a lot of ChatGPT stuff most of all.
Love it. Well, with Navigate being a sales trained LLM, I'm curious comparing the two within your shop and giving some feedback. So I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah.
Jessica?
AI, yes, definitely. We're, pushing full force on the AI. Pretty much a lot of processing can be done by AI. So for example, document validation, right? Reading the documents, comparing it against the 1003, even creating the 1003 from documents, checking for requirements on the documents and automatically requesting for additional things that are needed. So tons of automation that can be done with AI, but we're just scratching the surface. So it's a big effort, but it is exciting to be involved in that.
Awesome, love it. And the one interesting thing about Lead Scanner is it's going to update to current market conditions. So as rates drop, it will update the prompt in the back end to be able to be most consistent with where the market is today. So that's the technology side, but tools are only part of the equation. Let's go around once more. I would love to ask you all to provide one actionable tip you can leave the brokers here today with to elevate their client experience. Peter, you want to start?
Sure. I think probably the biggest thing I learned was when I stopped thinking of myself as my client, because I don't buy from myself, and I started to think more in terms of what my client really wanted. It was a matter of a big game changer for me. I started listening more rather than telling them more. And I found that since I don't sell to myself, I sell to others, it was very important for me to determine what it was they actually wanted. It had to be customer focused. And I found earlier part of my career it was mortgage lender focused. And I think now the biggest change I've made is asking more questions. What do you want? How do you want to get there? Where do you see yourself further down the line? And trying to find out what their world looks like in their head.
I love that. Absolutely. Jessica?
Yeah, along the same lines, but talking about the virtual world and going into that space, it's I think really important to understand the type of borrower you're working with, so what communication style they prefer, and cater to that. Do they like to stay on the phone, and do they like to hear you crack jokes and laugh about it, or could they not be bothered, So if you're calling someone and every time you call them, they always email or text you back, that's an indicator they just want to get to business and get it done quick. If you email them and they always pick up the phone and call you, that's an indicator they want that phone interaction. But a lot of times we don't pay attention to those cues, and we just tend to go with what we like. So even from a processor standpoint, we're behind the scenes people. We don't like to talk on the phone, but we require our processors to call the borrower at least twice in the process. So we require that so that they're forced to do it, and they have that interaction with the customer, and the customer appreciates it. So I think, just understanding what's best for the customer is what.
I love it. And you've been in the mortgage industry for quite a while. What are some of the ways that you have been able to really drive a client to get you the documents and the conditions that you need, which I know is really important, especially when you're on a purchase loan with closing date coming up. What are some of the ways that you've found to really get that quick action from your client?
Yeah, so that's why we require the processor to call when the loan is approved, because that's the critical point, right? You have your list of conditions, you know exactly what you need. So number one is making sure those conditions go out via email in a way that's very clear and easy to understand, so that when they provide it, they provide exactly what we need. But we require them to call so that they can explain it, and go over it. And that way you just get everything done right then and there. They upload everything, and you don't have to go back around asking for additional documents. So we spend a lot of focus on that approval step. And then again, at the clear to close phase, to make sure they call the borrower and they talk through the closing details, make sure everything's on track for closing. So knowing those two critical points and getting it right at that point so that you don't have to have a lot of back and forth, I think is the most important.
Awesome. Reggie?
I think the one thing I would say is systemize and template everything. Anything you do more than once, you should have a template, how you do it every single time. Just talking about the client experience, because that's what we're talking about here. Like if you look at a loan, basically from start to finish, it's the same process every single time. So why not systemize it so it's a 5-star experience every single time? So like we're all about touch points, automations, and basically a good customer service experience is just set the right expectations, proactively communicate. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to systemize that process so it's a 5-star experience every single time, not only for your client, but also, you know, your buyer's agent, your listing agent, your title company. Like if you can shine during the process of the loan, you have so many referral opportunities off that. So I think loan officers should focus a little bit more on that transaction and systemizing it and make sure it's a 5-star experience that they can repeat every single time unless there's a problem on the loan.
I love that. So as you've kind of systemized your process, you probably went through a little bit of trial and error. Can you provide kind of like one learning that you and your shop over the last couple of years have really learned as far as like a sequence of events or something that is really important to nail down?
I don't know if we've had like any difficulties because I've always been a huge customer service guy. But like for example, all of our processors are required to send out, in Arizona they call them LSUs, it's a loan status update. So we're big on not only communicating with the clients, but also using it as a referral opportunity for your realtors. Because when you're working, trying to get a realtor to work with you, the easiest way to do it is during a transaction because they actually see how you work. Any realtor that you're going after on the streets that's never worked with you, they're kind of risking their commission check the first time they work with you. So it's big not only for the client experience, but really focusing on that realtor experience and make sure they're updated very heavily during the process as well. I don't know if I answered your question.
Oh, that's a pretty good question. All right. Y'all got anything else for the crowd? Any other tips, Peter? I mean, you've been doing this. You were just telling me the first closing you ever did was 1991.
No, first closing as a mortgage person was 91. First closing as a closing was in 1974.
Amazing.
And the HUD was only 2 pages. And they actually had a tape that came out and told you what all the expenses were on the tape. It was actually much easier. It took less time, by the way, just so you know. You know, I think I mentioned before about listening. It's funny, one of the questions you guys had asked earlier, we just recently, and all for the help of lots of people at Rocket, by the way, but we just closed a loan for a customer. I believe it was 16 days from application to settlement for a woman who spent $48.81 to buy a $266,000 home, and her payment was less than her rent. So I thought that was pretty interesting that we were able to do in today's world to help. And that woman, kind of taking it a little bit deeper, was a woman who, when she was younger, living with her parents had lost the house and she actually lived in a car for a while. So when you think about her first purchase, it didn't cost her that much money. That was the work of a lot of people, Rocket included, but it was all listening to what it was that she wanted. So.
I love that. And by the way, Jeanette, your crew director, tells me that her team of underwriters absolutely love when Peter calls them. And you are their favorite person to work with.
Well, that's always good to know. Jeanette is also a big helper. We got a clear to close this morning from an email I sent to her at 9:45 last night. So, makes sense.
Love it. Absolutely. All right. Well, there you heard it. So remote closings, consistent VIP experience, and then going back to the very front end with tools like Lead Scanner that help you find deals faster and serve clients better. That's how you deliver first-class experience from any zip code. So thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.